Welcome to the Coaching Edge podcast with your co-hosts, Dr. Steve Jeffs and Erwin de Grave. Each episode, we bring you expert guests and transformative coaching insights. Let's dive in.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Coaching Edge podcast with co-host Steve Jeff and myself, Erwin de Grave. And today we have Garry Schleifer with us. Hi Gary, how you doing?
I am great, Erwin and Steve. I love it. The guy with two first names, it's always a challenge.
It certainly is.
Great to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Likewise, Gary. Well, we could do a big intro. We could certainly read lots of stuff off websites, but in your own words, just give our listeners a bit of an intro to who you are and what you're doing.
Well, number one, I am an entrepreneur. Number two, I'm a Canadian, and being safe up here. I've been an entrepreneur since 1986, had several multi-million-dollar businesses. Some were successes and some were failures. And as we all know as coaches, we learn from both. At least we help our clients figure that out. Then in late 98, I attended a human potential movement course, whatever you call it, landmark education. And there was a course called, a 3-month community project course, and they gave you a coach. Yes, I know. And I loved having a coach, and I loved it so much that I became a coach for their program. It was a volunteer until somebody came in and said, well, I'm a coach, but I get paid to do it. And I was like, entrepreneur, ching, 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 ching. And off I went to find a coaching school, and picture this, finding a website at the early days of the internet. So 2000, oh my gosh, what a mess. And there were only 3. Now there's like 3,000, but there were only 3 schools, Coachville, CTI, and Coach U, I think it was. And the only one I could understand and still had to have a phone call was CTI. And so that's where I started. And I've been doing that since second week of January 2001. So 24 years and a month.
Congratulations.
A month and a week. Yeah. And along the way, I was looking for a coaching magazine and not really realizing that the coaching profession was initiated like around 1995 and couldn't find one. So because we're video today, I can proudly say I got one, and it is, oh, look at that, it blends in. Choice, the magazine of professional coaching, started with 5 people back in Half Moon Bay, 2003, and by late that year at the November conference, we all were there, opened the box to see our very first issue of Choice, first time. So that's been 22 years plus. We're in our 23rd year, season, volume, whatever you want. And no signs of slowing down. I hope we get more subscribers. I'm certainly hoping some of your listeners will. And just thrilled to be doing it and being connected with the coaching industry. I've been involved, like super involved. I've been the president of the ICF Toronto chapter. I was the vice president on the global board back in the early 2000s. I was the president of the Gay Coaches Alliance. I've been a member of theirs since it began. Give me coaching every day and I'm in.
I love it. What do you love most about coaching?
Oh my gosh, what's not to love? The clients I love the most. Like seriously, you're in a very trusted, safe, confidential environment, and they 9 times out of 10 at the end of some calls will go, I've never told anybody this before, not even my husband, wife, spouse, whatever, right? And it's an honor. You're put in a place of trust and honor. And what's not to love about that? And then there's side benefits, like they're doing stuff or going through stuff that you're kind of going through too, and you have to put it aside while you're having the call, right? But afterwards you're like, damn, that was good. I'm going to go do that, or read that book, or listen to that podcast, or, right? So there's so many benefits to it. I think one of the biggest things is when I leave a call, I don't carry anything. It's all up to them because we've empowered them to take the next steps, to do inquiry, whatever it is, to just be. And my job, literally, close my notes, record my time, close my session, get paid.
I love
Wait
it.
for the next one.
Has it always been that easy for you to kind of finish and kind of put everything down? Because I know a lot of coaches kind of carry stuff
Oh,
and
oh, heck no. Keeping it clean here. Heck no. Um, there were at the beginning, I felt like it was my job to write the notes and send it back to the client. And that was a huge burden. And then I realized, hold on. Oh, well, it was actually through mentoring and supervision back in the day, whatever it was back then. And it was like, why are you doing the client's work? If they want to take notes, let them take notes. So I stopped doing that. So no, it wasn't that way in the beginning, but I learned that if I truly want to be like done and dusted after a call and complete and ready to get present for another call, then I need to be clean. I need to, and we're not just talking hand sanitizer either.
So what do you do to be able to stop one call and then let everything go clean and go?
Well, logistically, it's exactly like I said. I use a Rocket Book. I take a snapshot of the notes that I did make for myself, scan them up to the cloud, do my logistics, get up out of my chair, physically leave the room, get water, go to the washroom, do whatever. And then I was joking. I was joking about the hand sanitizer, though. This is my favorite fragrance, Bath and Body Works. A little shameless promotion for them, but it's called Ocean. And I rub a little bit on my hands, and and that just like calms me down, gets me ready. And then I do the pre-logistics. I look up any notes that the client might have said, review the notes that I made from the previous call, and then I just sit here and breathe and get ready.
smelling the ocean.
Oh, the ocean. You can't see the picture, but there's a painting behind me. It's called Hotel California, and it's like a walk into the ocean. Oh, there's a theme going on here with me.
Combined with the hand sanitizer, and wow.
Right,
You still have to wait until you have your boat and you do it on your boat on the ocean.
Yeah, no. Unless it's a cruise ship with full services, you're not getting me on a boat. No.
Okay.
Yeah, that can be your thing. You to each their own.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah. So with Choice Magazine, it's about coaching, the coaching industry. What do you see is what's going on in the coaching industry sector? What's going on right now?
Well, I know it's a big hit right now, and that is the diversity, equity, inclusion mandate or lack thereof, the cancellation of all the programs in the U.S. Coincidentally, we have our issue in June is coaching racism in an era of backlash.
Say that again for us.
Let me get it. Let me get the title.
Oh, I love
the cover of it's like anti-racism and coaching in an era of backlash.
Yes.
And answering various questions around like what can coaches do when this comes up and how do we handle it and so for the most part, just to go back to a little bit of logistic of choice articles are written by people like you and me and our coaching friends. They're also from people who are professionals in certain industries, like they might be a DEI specialist, but not necessarily a coach. So we want to have the best value and the best information for our readers that we can get. And sometimes it's from the readers themselves. So if you're listening or watching today, reach out to me. I'll hook you up. It's super easy to write for Choice Magazine.
I really appreciate that because there's a lot of experts that sort of sit outside of industries, like almost in the grandstand as commentators, describing what they see and that expert kind of positioning. But there's something about, hearing from people that are doing it metaphorically in the trenches, that real world experience as well as theoretical, academic, other perspectives, but, a voice from inside the community.
Yeah. Well, and we help, so there's that, and we help the readers by asking the writers to put in actionable items. So what can the reader do with what they're reading? And wait, if that's not enough, we also have a podcast interview with the author called Beyond the Page to basically what could they not fit in the in the restricted 12, 1400 words, right? Or we'll be working on an issue months in advance before it gets printed. What's changed since they submitted the article?
Oh, yeah.
When we did the AI one, so many things changed in the 3 or 4 months between the time we received articles and the time we actually published.
Oh, interesting.
I love it. All the links will be below somewhere, by the way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
QR code over your left shoulder. So.
That, if anybody wants to get a free issue of Choice Magazine, digital, of course, just click that QR code and it'll hook you up.
I love it. I'm just hoping that people are still listening and they haven't run away off to Choice Magazine. Stay with us till the end and then go.
Stay with us to the end. Yes, yes. They will. They will. They love you guys, so that's okay. All good.
So what's the time process from really starting looking at an issue and you publish it? You say it's like a few months before an article comes in.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So, well, for example, this anti-racism coaching and inner backlash, the deadline for articles is next week, March 1st. So we'll be reading those, but it won't go out to the printer until June. We're one of those print things we print at the end of the month of the quarter or not, and it's not monthly. So so it won't go out until like the second last week of June. So there's that 3 months where things can happen, right? More changes, more executive orders, more. I know I'm talking a lot about American stuff, but there's residuals in the world, and there are other dictators. Oh, did I say dictator?
So
you're right.
So what do you see? What's coming out? What's coming? What are the trends that you're reading at that's coming in the future in the coaching industry? Do you have any idea looking at?
You know what? I have tried for 22 years to have that crystal ball, and what usually happens is the conversation switches towards what's important to the people I'm talking to. So, if they're in a realm of AI, they'll talk about AI, and that's the latest and greatest. There's so many things going on. I mean, we continue to evolve, and yet we stay the same. The core competencies have held from the International Coaching Federation have held up. They're doing another survey about it, but they've held up with one iteration in almost 30 years. But we're developing other competencies like team supervision. Team coaching is very popular. Things that never go away. Neuroscience is always developing and always changing. We've done a neuroscience issue probably every 4 years. We've done a mentoring and supervision one every 4 years because things just change. So, but I don't see any dramatic things on the horizon. That being said, I kind of have a little thing of my own if I can talk about it.
Absolutely.
So let me talk about it. I'm not waiting for permission. So I've taken it upon myself to create an AI Coach Garry. And what that is a 24/7 virtual, at this point, it's a text-to-text conversation where it's me. It's been, how did I put in my ad? It's been guided and mentored and monitored by me as it was developed. And so what it does is it takes the core competencies and the things that are similar across coaching for all coaches, but then taking what's distinctly me and applying that, overlaying it in that delicate weave, and then me monitoring it. And one of the reasons I did that was because we did the AI issue, and that was almost 2 years now. And people are still afraid. I won't say everybody, but a lot of people are still afraid of AI taking over coaching. I have a little number for you. There are, as of June last year, this was at a conference, so it's not mine, but I've always said this anyway. There's almost 8 billion people on the planet, and there's 106 or 160,000 registered coaches with the International Coaching Federation, for example. That's 74,181. I'm making that part up to every coach. Why not do something like we always say, how do we democratize coaching? This is a way to democratize coaching. I'm charging $27 US a month. It's pittance for people who wouldn't buy coaching when it's my regular rate of over $250 an hour, right? So, there's various ways for people to get in. So go back to why is because I feel like I'm a trusted source in the industry. I've been loyal and faithful and passionate about it for 24 years just as a coach. And I wanted people to go play with it. They have a 14-day free trial and before their credit card gets charged. So they can go take a look. So all my coach friends, our audience, your audience, go play with it. Find out what it's like, what you don't like. Give us feedback, right? But don't be afraid of it. I like to say, pull up the hood on the car, sort of thing, right? And take a look at what's going on under there. And then, you may still not want to go there, but at least you've done some research to see what you're afraid of.
Absolutely. I think Apple's new phone is being positioned around AI as they're releasing it these days. Laptops are doing it. You've got. I think the new dishwasher we've got's got AI in there somewhere. So it's not something that you can avoid.
Part of refrigerators that will keep a shopping list and order it for you.
Internet of Things, absolutely. It's fascinating. I'm really curious about what you learned about you as a coach and your coaching as you were training and mentoring this
AI. Great question. One of the things that came up was they had programmed into it giving advice. And coaches don't give advice, but people want advice. So what's the balance between giving advice and being a coach? Coach according to the core competencies. So I struggled with that. Another thing I learned about was, and it was not about me, but it was about the coaching, was that the system made assumptions. So for example, you would say, wow, that was a really tough day. And the AI would say, oh, I hear you had a really hard time. So it wasn't reflecting back the words of the client. It was making a translation versus a reflection of the wording. And all of this, you asked, the original question was, how did it affect me and my coaching, was being way more aware, because it's like mentoring. I had these scripts and right away I knew where I wasn't, because I've done been mentored before. I'm a certified mentor coach myself. So it was the opportunity to do some mentoring on myself. And so there's always learning in that. So it's inevitable. And I look forward to, I'm going to continue to monitor the recordings of my paid subscribers, A, to make sure that it's not making assumptions, and B, to make sure that the client's, getting value, and that the two are meeting the needs, like that the opportunity and the client are getting value.
And what do you see with the difference between Garry and Garry AI, if I may?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
AI Coach Garry never sleeps.
Okay, that's true. And then on the level of coaching and the results, have you seen this?
My goal is to make it as much like me as possible. So my next step is to use a script, roughly speaking. And you've all heard of deep fakes. Well, it's going to basically, in a positive way, deep fake my voice instead of the script back. Because right now it's text to text. I mean, you can voice your text like you do on your phone, and it will come back, but it'll come back with my voice. So that's another similarity. But the other difference is that I believe that you can't cause the transformation you can cause without being one-on-one with the client. And what I'm learned from my beta testers, who were all coaches, by the way, so it was a little, I went right into the lion's den and they volunteered. And some of the feedback they gave me is, this is really great. and it would be great to be a part of a one-on-one coaching offering. And so guess what? I built a one-on-one another offer so that you can have AI Coach Garry and once a month have real Coach Garry. So I'm hoping to get more feedback on what the differences is, and I'm going to, continuous improvement. Keep looking at ways that I can upgrade or change or make it of more value. The AI Coach Garry.
How much of this difference is because we haven't yet trained the AI to do more of the whatever it is that people get from
Yeah.
Garry? And how much is it because it's AI versus a human?
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough question, a great one and a tough one. Um, I've yet to find out because I'm going to use Garry and AI Coach Garry as the model to the difference and ask my clients for feedback. What are you getting out of this call? How is this different than your AI Coach Garry? The belief that I've gotten from my editorial board and from other coaches is that there's something about this, the pivot and the move that we're making inside the conversation, the ability to think of the question, to have empathy, eye contact, like, I can tell when Steve's thinking of the next question, or even you, Erwin. There's a way of being that you have, right? That'll come, I think, but there's still something about the human connection that I don't think can ever be replaced. But hey, like all the people said that I interviewed on the AI, they said, will AI take over coaching? And most of them said not yet. So they're not saying no, but they're not saying yes. It's not done it yet. The big thing to remember is, I always like to say, the damn thing has a plug somewhere. We can always unplug it. But as you know from using Chat GBT and all those sorts of things, you can ask it for stuff. It's never the complete product. It's merely a quicker step along the way of creativity to finished product. And I feel the same way about AI Coach Garry. I can go in and look at what is the reasoning behind the questions that it made. Was it something about my coaching style? Was it something about what the client said? Da, da, da. I'm in full control of the model. I don't think I answered your question, but anyway.
I think it's brilliant. And I think you just hit on something that's actually really important in the distinction between AI and human. You didn't answer the question, but you absolutely did answer the question in a different way. And that's one of the things that I see. I had a conversation with ChatGPT about this very topic last week, I think it was. What AI, what can you do that humans can't? What can humans do that you can't? As you said, it was a very somewhat immature conversation. There was a layer of shallowness to it. One of the key things that stood out for me was that pattern recognition versus creativity, or a non-linear response that then opens up possibility, like the answer that you just gave, which was brilliant and insightful and engaging, but literally not necessarily a correct answer.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the magic comes from. That not only can you visually see what's going on, like the example that you gave, but emotionally, physically, intuitively, even the sense of how you're feeling in response to how the clients are showing up is information that you can then use. I've been really curious about what it is to be human in this world of AI.
Yeah.
Particularly in the humanity of coaching, I think is really where that magic lies.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And now, when you're saying that, I'm reflecting back and I realize that I've done exactly what all the other people I've asked about the future of coaching. I've directed it to what I'm doing and what's important to me. So I want to bring it back and say, and make this a conversation amongst the three of us and all your listeners. What do we want to see coaching become? What changes do we want to see? Because we're leaders in the industry, leaders in the profession, participants in the profession. What's missing for us, right? Like the conferences, when they came back after COVID, were like amazing. Being with people IRL in real life. I learned that one. Was amazing. More of that. What's also coming up is VR coaching, virtual reality coaching. A member of the board of my editorial board was speaking quite a bit about that in one of our recent calls. And if it wasn't for the owner of the damn best product, I'd have bought one. But he's being a real anyway.
Yeah, I think like if you look at AI, and certainly looking at your question about what coaching, what do we want, where do we want to go, suddenly AI I see like an assistant that can help,
Right.
because and you could have like two levels of coaching, and coaching like I need that deep transformative coaching, as you say, Garry. But on the other hand, sometimes you could say, yeah, but I have a quick question for Garry. Well, I can ask because the AI could probably answer that. And if it cannot, then in that one-on-one session, we can go more deeper into it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like they're doing their homework before the real call kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? There can be that opportunity. And to your point, and I learned this through the work on that issue on AI and coaching, there's augmented, so all the things that can be done for you, like oh my gosh, Jonathan Wright spoke eloquently about it in his article about the different things that he and the interview they did of all the things that are he's using to support his coaching. Things like, making the transcript automatically and looking for nuances and matching the different sessions with that particular client. Well, looking for the next question. He had systems that did that. And he offers a course in that as well if one wants it. But there's augmented AI, so things that support, like what you did, Steve, and went and asked about the questions. That's augmented. It's helping you. But then there's generative AI, and I think that's the thing everybody has the nightmares about. Hollywood and all those, Matrix and things like that, that it's going to, AI is going to take over the world and people are going to lose their jobs. Okay, no disrespect. I have empathy for those people. And every time somebody says that, a whole ton of new jobs come up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the internet's going to, is people going to lose their jobs because of the internet? Okay, I can't throw a pen around without touching on somebody that doesn't have some job that relates to the internet. Social media, finance, like you name it, it's all there. So it just means we have to shift with the times, and perhaps what people are more afraid of is change than they are about what the change is.
So we are really at a point, as far as conversation that we have, that coaching is on a point where there's a certain shift needed. Certainly with the AI coming, that what needs to be adapting to be able to integrate everything like new technologies and so on.
Okay, I'm going to stop you on the word needed.
Okay.
I don't think coaching needs it,
Uh-huh.
but coaching can benefit from it.
Okay.
And it's better to take a position, take a part in the integration of it, the development of it, and the use of it, than it is to stand back and wait for the fear of, don't do anything because of your fear and let it take over. Like, seriously, I feel in so much control of this AI. It's crazy. And like I say, I can pull the plug on AI, Coach Garry, at any time.
So yeah,
Payback.
yeah, I understand. That's what I'm looking at is if you don't, because when we look at it's coaching as well, it's always about changing in people and getting there. If you don't get and continue what's going, you're gonna stay behind.
Yeah. So, and it's okay to be doing the things you're doing that work the way you're doing them. But I don't know anybody that hasn't done some coaching on video. I remember when I started coaching, it was by, hold on, what they call those things? Telephones. I remember when my telephone bill was hundreds of dollars a month in long distance charges. Now it's pittance.
Absolutely.
Right? So we've already adopted technology. It's just another technology.
Yeah.
And if anybody has any questions or concerns, contact me. Like, I'm happy to sit down with a coffee and have a conversation because I want to know what it means to you, what's going on for you, things like that. Who knows? It might make the next theme for for an issue of choice in the coming years.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you're onto something there. I remember when I first started teaching coaches, we had to do a demo of phone coaching because it was in-person training. So all the coaching that we were training and people were practicing was IRL, as you said. And so we had to demo how you can do it over distance via phone. And now that we're doing all of the training or a lot of the training on Zoom, we had to have a conversation about how to do coaching IRL. Like, how can I do this when I'm in the same room? And so I think you're onto something when the biggest fear of change is to change itself.
Oh, well said. Well said. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, like I say, take a peek under the hood. You know, doesn't have to be my technology, but try just what's the thing you're most afraid of? Talk to your colleagues, ask them what they're doing, what's making their life easier, and I'll bet it's somehow related to some sort of computerization or augmented AI, something like that. AI is technically not new. It's been around for ages. Think about all those chat boxes you've had on your when you're trying to get something to happen on your communications, whatever, or banking, and it's like, ask so and so, or we'll get an agent, or whatever, right? That's kind of been around for a long time. It's just getting better now.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I've been on one recently. It's not better. Like, it's not. I'm like, seriously, I've said 3 times I'd like to talk to an agent. Well, how about this article? How about that? No. So there's loops. They just haven't looked at their own system, right? So it's not perfect. Never will be.
I think there's a thing that we, as coaches, will often, discuss and bring into coaching conversations, that it's not binary in this world. It's not an either or, and often the magic lies in the and. And what I see, you asked that question before, and I've been pondering it, like, what do we want for coaching? And that's what I see, that the human connection, for me, it's really important that we can do this when the power's off. So in person, out by a fire, in the middle of wherever, going for a stroll through nature, whatever it is, but like human to human, analog conversations, coaching and transformation when the power's off. And when the power's on, what does that open up? How does that leverage? And how do we bring the best of both of those, ultimately, not in service of us, but actually in service of our clients, the transformation and the growth that excites all of us.
Well said. And to as many people as we possibly can.
Love it.
And I can't do one-on-ones, IRL or otherwise, without AI to reach my portion of the my 74,701 people.
I love it.
My commitment, and I'm meeting with the group of coaches that are all AI coaches with this same company tomorrow. But one of them I had a one-on-one conversation with, and they want their AI coach, and I want this too, to pass a master certified coach exam with ICF, the transcript part, obviously. And they wanted to pass the exam. Who wouldn't want that?
Of course.
Right? So what's there to be feared about a bunch of AI coaches run by coaches that are in integrity? And ICF is managing the ethics. They're taking a role in the ethical conversation, right? Have been for a while. I'm not worried. And please, if I should be worried, give me a call. Be love to know what I should be worried about, and then I'll go figure out how to not be worried about that.
I love it. I keep coming back to that number. It's like, well, hang on, as a coach, it's your job to serve 74,000 people. What are you doing to serve them? It's a whole perspective.
Yeah, I know we're worried about not having enough, and there's way more than enough for each and every one of us.
Oh, it is.
Right?
Yeah, I love that that's pushing beyond ego, because ego is like, well, but I've got to serve. It's got to be me. What role am I playing, and what importance do I bring? And I was catching myself in that earlier in the week. It's a human place to play, but we start to look at what's the why, what's the impact, what are we trying to create, and how do we facilitate that?
Yeah.
And then from that place, as you're articulating, and what's that extra bit that only I can bring? And how do I bring that to the people that are most wanting, ready, or hungry for that? That's a really exciting question.
Yeah. See, now that's the future I want to be working on.
Yeah, I can think of a whole lot of clients that I wish my AI was coaching instead of me, actually.
That was the favorite call. I'll stick to this call. But and seriously though, how much richer those conversations when they do get in front of you, if they've done a bit of pre-work that you're seeing and they're doing before a call,
Yeah.
right? And then I'm asking the guys that put this together. It's amigo.ai, by the way, and I don't have an affiliate link or anything like that. But you can say that Garry did, so Richard knows that where the source was. Um, what I'm asking them to work on is exactly what I talked about with Jonathan Wright's information, that it takes those transcripts and summarizes it for the coach, so they don't have to read line for line, right? Like I'm going to look at the transcripts to make sure that my coaching is on point.
Mhm.
That then also talk to the client to see that they're getting the result because I'm not there. And then finally to take it to, okay, so you're having AI Coach Garry, you're going to have a one-on-one conversation. How can that augmented AI bring me the summary, the nuts and bolts that I can go deep and fast?
Exactly. It's like an assistant. Basically, an
Yeah,
assistant meets up and writes down and say, that's it, that's the main problem. It's like what happens if you go to the hospital in emergency. You first see a nurse
yeah,
and they ask you what's going on, and then they go to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Oh, that's the doctor you need." And it's exactly the same.
yeah,
An AI
yeah,
coaching nurse. All right.
yeah. We need AI triage nurses then.
There's merit to that. I really love that idea. One of the things I've
Yeah.
been thinking
Can
on
you
is
imagine me like going to McDonald's, standing in front of the podium and going, okay, what's your problem today? Oh, I had a gunshot. Okay. Next question. Are you bleeding? Yes or no? A little, it's hit a big, big vein. Okay, great. Are you able to read this? I don't know. I'm just making it up, but it's
you're not far wrong because in the UK they have a number that you can call instead of going to emergency. And literally,
mhm.
what they'll do is they'll go through a checklist exactly
Yeah,
like. And of course, it's humans asking the question. At least I
yeah,
think it is, unless they've passed that Turing test. But they're very structured and rigid. They can't get around. They have to answer every question. So you're
yeah.
actually not too far from what's already going on.
Yeah. And by the way, we have that in Canada too. I've used that service here for somebody that was very ill twice.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they send the police department,
Mhm.
sorry, fire department, who's basically a triage nurse and determines how urgent it is and if there's anything they can do. And then they send the yeah,
But what we're speaking to is there's a lot of structural or well scripted processes that people are doing that don't need people to do them. You use the example of McDonald's. Well, the old fashioned way of doing it is talking to a person and they type it into the computer. Well,
mhm,
you walk in and you type it into the computer. Same structure,
yeah,
same outcome, same process. What's the impact actually? What's the
yeah,
benefit?
Mm.
Well, that's another great question to look at. What
right.
opportunities emerge as we start to redefine what roles we're playing?
Yeah, exactly. I'm still a little ticked that I have to do my own self checkout at the grocery store. It's like, so do I get a discount for doing myself versus going over and working with a clerk? No. But to your point about systemization, that's been going on since around like Henry Ford and the assembly line. If it can be automated, then there's an opportunity for it to be more efficient and done quicker so that it will allow us to do the things that we do best. And in our case, is coaching the human.
And
It
that's
doesn't
what happened
eliminate
in
it, it
coaching.
enhances it.
And what happened in coaching in the past, because first people get coaching one-on-one and say, I want to do more people. So they start doing group coaching.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, that's the evolution that went from one-to-one, and then, oh, let's do group coaching because I can reach to more people.
Yeah.
And now with technology allows us to even go to much more people and much more diversified. That's how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
You said a phrase that I think is worth highlighting. You said coaching the human.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a way, as I look back on my journey through ACC, PCC, getting to the MCC, and that evolution across the competencies, and as we mature as coaches, that in many ways that's the essence, because we can move from structure to less structure to more emergent, and we shift away from coaching the solution or the situation or the challenge or even the role, the job title, the person sometimes, but ultimately it's this coaching the human. Often gets forgotten, often gets left behind, but is actually what I think is needed the most. That to me is part of the answer to your question of what do we want.
Oh, hey, give me a real life person every time, right? I'm doing this to enhance their experience. I'm doing it because just like my magazine, some people want print, some people want digital. Some people will go with AI only, some will go with AI combos, some will go with just coaching one-on-one. So it's again, let's use McDonald's, small, medium, and large. Would you like some fries with that, sir?
Yeah, I love it. And I love this focus towards, all right, well, how do we use these things, small, medium, large, so that the client is connecting in the way that's relevant for them in service of what they need when they need it. And I think that's the other thing you're speaking to is about, it's on demand.
Remember our coach training, the big A agenda belongs to the client. So make it easy for them to choose.
Absolutely. I love it. Wow. Well, Garry, this I could definitely have this conversation go on. I really look forward to continue.
And I hope that we answered the question about the future of coaching. I'd like to have my parting words be heard as it's up to us what we want the future of coaching to look like, not others.
Oh.
Time for us to be the leaders in our own profession. And we already are, don't get me wrong, but be more so. Don't look around for what the future is. Let's be the future.
And create the future.
It's the best way to predict the future is to create it, as they say.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you very much, Garry. You've opened up some mind and some questions. This has been absolutely engaging, and actually engaging in a way that I've not seen with AI yet. So I think that's definitely something that you get to bring that I haven't seen AI bring.
This isn't the real me. This is AI Coach Garry.
That's what I was going to ask. Is that real Garry or is that the AI Garry? It was really great, Garry. It was really interesting.
Well,
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And let's connect in the future again.
And other than
right.
What's the best way for people to connect with you?
Garry at choice-online.com. GARRY, 2 R's, at choice-online.com.
Well, we'll put that somewhere below the video. Thank you so much.
And that reaches me directly, no assistance, no AI. I still, unfortunately, answer all my own emails.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Love it. Really appreciate it, Garry. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to The Coaching Edge. Until next time, keep coaching and keep growing.